Hi everyone, this is Adrian.
And I'm Cary.
And for this episode, Cary will be the expert. What you call it?
This is about blind buys, loves, and regrets.
Wow, so things that you love and bottles that you don't.
Yeah, I call it regrets. I don't exactly hate them. Most of these, I wouldn't say that it rises to hate, but some of them I absolutely love, and some of them I probably wouldn't buy again.
Okay.
Let's
okay.
put it that way.
Yes, and hopefully this doesn't mean that just because Cary doesn't like it, that you shouldn't like it either. You know, everybody's nose palette, is there such a thing, a nose palette? Yes, is different.
Yeah.
So what smells good to you might not be for everyone else.
Right.
Not, or someone else, not everyone else.
Yeah.
That's too extreme.
Love and hate are pretty strong words in the fragrance communities because there are things that I smelled and at first I was like, oh, I don't like that. And then months or years later, I like it now.
Oh, acquired taste.
Yeah. For instance, this first one that we're going to start out with, this was an immediate love.
Wow.
There's some others that I didn't like them at first. I don't think there's any of those in this group, but some others we've talked about, I didn't like them at 1st but they grew on me and now I really like them.
Okay, I think it's because, you're growing as a fragrance connoisseur.
Right. And I think that sometimes, just depending on maybe what's going on and other things that you smell around you, you don't notice certain things or you notice them in a way that kind of brings up different connotations. Fragrance really evokes a lot of emotions in people and a lot of memories.
Yes.
It's one of the strongest memory links in our mind. You think of like cinnamon rolls or the baking bread or something, it may remind you of like
good times.
being, like at holiday occasions and stuff, good times and stuff. So today I want to bring up the topic of blind buys and ones that I've loved and why, and ones that I didn't love so much and why I probably wouldn't replace those in my fragrance collection.
Okay.
Okay, so it's not that easy anymore to get fragrance samples. You can go into a store like Macy's or some other big store that has lots of nice fragrances and smell the ones that are there, but they're not going to give you free samples to take home unless you buy something. And then it just depends on the samples they've got. So
isn't that the opposite of people just spray you at the mall?
Yeah. Now, there are some that you walk by and they're trying to hose you down with fragrances and stuff like that, and you try to run away from them. The bad thing is that when you go into a store and you try to test a bunch of fragrances, you really can't smell much more than about 5 fragrances before your nose is just kind of worn out, and you can't really tell much difference between them. So I would strongly advise you, if you do go to a store, at the most, smell them on paper a little bit, and if you like them, then consider maybe when you get down to 2 or 3, put a little bit on your skin and then go away for about half an hour. Don't smell them, and then smell them and see which ones you like.
Okay.
And go with those. But for a lot of people, you're going to end up blind buying fragrances. And so I want to share a little bit with some of the ones that I've blind bought and I think you can't go wrong with, and some that I have bought that I was disappointed in and why. They may not be the same reasons why you like or are disappointed in a fragrance, so don't let that influence you, but do kind of concentrate on maybe the process of determining what things you like and what things you kind of want to stay away from, so that you can look these things up on something like Fragrantica, try to determine what it's going to be like, and then at least guide yourself a little bit better in the process of blind buying.
Okay.
So the first one that I want to talk about is this one by Tom Ford. It's called Ebene Fume.
May I try?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
So this one is from a small collection of 3 fragrances called the Enigmatic Woods collection. It's comprised of Santal Blush, which is billed as a female or a feminine leaning fragrance, and Bois Moroccan, which is unisex, and then Ebene Fume, with Ebene Fume being definitely the strongest of all 3. What do you think of it? Uh-huh.
Kind of elegant and classy, and definitely rare for me. Maybe it's not, I'm not used to
Yeah.
smelling these.
There's a reason why I kind of held back on this one until you had become a lot more experienced.
Yes, because
Yeah.
I'm total noob. I'm still noob. I mean, if you think about it.
So this one comes in the private blend line. Like I said, it's in a collection that they call the Enigmatic Woods Collection. It's described as mindfulness meets opulence.
Ooh.
I think that is
It is opulent.
almost a perfect description of it. Here's a quote from a fragrance review of it. The intensely meditative scent celebrates the mystical essence of Palo Santo smoke, stoked by the warm elegance of Cistus Absolute, enticing black pepper and notes of ebony wood, captured in sleek, sublime notes of leather.
Okay, that sounds way too fancy,
But yeah, mindfulness meets opulence.
okay, that's better. That's just
When I
it's
smell
much
this,
better.
I just kind of go away to someplace peaceful in my mind. Now,
I know I'm on the opulent part. I'm like partying with this.
now, in truth, this was not a totally blind buy for me. Somebody at work that is also a fragrance enthusiast brought a sample of this in and let me smell it. And I fell in love with it. And right there, I got online and I ordered a bottle from Macy's. I think it was Macy's. But full retail price, didn't even look back. And I liked it so much that I even bought a backup bottle because Tom Ford occasionally will discontinue some of these for apparently no reason, but usually it has something to do with some of the raw ingredients becoming either very difficult to find or not of the quality that they initially wanted. And I wanted to make sure that I had some of this to last me for a long time. This one makes me think of being like, I took a trip to China once and I remember being in a temple there where I smelled like exotic wood smokes and incense, and you could hear like, the temple bells and stuff. And it was just so peaceful and meditative. And,
And you're wearing perfume.
well, I wasn't at the time. But one thing I have to say about this one, I think I've mentioned about this before. This is definitely not a scent for all occasions and all places.
No.
Do not wear this when you are going to be in a confined space for a long period of time. AKA, don't get on an airplane, a crowded airplane, and have tons of this on and expect that people aren't going to start giving you dirty looks. It smells wonderful, but it's not for everyone. Now, if you were on that airplane and other people were giving you dirty looks, I would invite you to come sit next to me if you were wearing a lot of this, but I'm not everybody. So just be careful of this one. It's strong.
Okay.
Okay, let's move on to our next one. Now, this one is Guerlain Vetiver Extreme.
Mm-hmm.
For some of the enthusiasts out there, they will notice that this is the bottle type that you can't find anymore. It's been discontinued, sadly.
Oh.
Yeah. But there is the Guerlain Vetiver, not Extreme, that is so much like it, except for a couple notes, that I think that it would be just fine as a substitute. You still can find this on eBay, and often for reasonable prices. In other words, like what retail price would be or a little bit more. So if you can find this for retail price, then it's worth getting a bottle or two. If it's, if you're watching at a time, a year or two after we've made this video and the prices are 2 or 3 times what retail is, skip to the regular version, which I'll show here in just a minute. Now, this one, a lot of people have said that the new version of it is very similar to this one or almost the same, just that they've pumped up the notes in it. I disagree somewhat. The notes are a little bit different, but there's something that is very, very characteristic of this one that is different in the other one. This one has a licorice note that somehow just really sets it off as special. Yeah, right?
Yeah. It reminds me of Iceland. They love licorice.
Oh yeah, they like licorice over there. And I don't like licorice as a candy, but I love black licorice as a
They have
smell.
licorice on anything. Yeah,
True.
We went to the convenience store.
Yeah.
Licorice everywhere.
Yep. So there's that one. And then this is the version that is currently available. And I would just have to say this one smells really wonderful. So if you can't pick up a vintage bottle of the Extreme, no problem. Get this and be happy with it. The main thing that's different is just that this one has a sort of a licorice note to it. It's a little bit more complex.
So this one has licorice.
And this one doesn't. This one has a little bit more citrus to it. But if you can find the Vetiver Extreme, get a couple bottles of it if you can. But if you can't, don't be too disappointed because this one is pretty amazing. In the Vetiver Extreme, the top notes have what they call a citrus harmony, not a citrus blast, of bergamot and lemon, followed by the tarragon licorice notes. And then it has a sort of a hot, spicy heart, including pepper, nutmeg, and frankincense for like smoky, spicy notes. And then in the bottom, it has like a cedar, balsamic tonka bean note. And one thing I do notice between these two, they smell fairly similar at first, but this one lasts longer.
Oh, the Extreme version.
On the dry down, it lasts longer. So that's a difference. But like I said, you're not going to be disappointed if you can't get this one anymore. The other one is amazing, and I think that either one would be fine for you. This one, just while you can still find it here and there, go for it.
So this is also amazing.
Yep. Okay, next one is one that is absolutely near and dear to my heart. Terre d'Hermes, the OG, the Eau de Toilette version, okay? There is a perfume version. I recommend going with the EDT version. It's more complex and you notice a lot more notes in it. Now,
I already know how this smells like.
I know.
And I don't want to go nose blind.
I know.
So.
This is one that we both love.
Yes.
Also, there is a Terre d'Hermes Eau Intense Vetiver. So if you absolutely know you love vetiver and you've smelled Terre d'Hermes before, you could go ahead and go for the Eau Intense Vetiver. It's essentially this with vetiver added into it. But I really love this one. You'll hear some people talking about this having a dirty orange smell to it.
Yeah, it's nice.
Okay. I think somebody somewhere did a review of this and they just looked up the notes and they saw earthy and they started calling it dirty orange. It's not. It has an earthy, flinty note, sort of, if you've ever had flint and, tried to do the old fire starting thing with flint and steel, or an old lighter that has a flint in it. There's something in that smells a certain way you can't describe as much of anything else other than
didn't
earthy.
You say it's, I smelled also it's kind of like overripe,
Yeah.
in a good way.
This is not, it has orange to it as its kind of primary center. And this is not the kind of orange that you're drinking in your orange juice for breakfast.
No.
This is not like the kind of the kids' Sunny Delight or something.
No, far from that.
No,
far from
this
that.
this is an orange that has fallen off the tree ripe and that has sat there for a day or two in the sun. And when you pull it open, it smells like if you eat it, you might get a little bit drunk.
Yes, fermented.
So I like it, but a lot of people will go on about this dirty orange smell, and it's really just a bad choice of words that somehow got associated with it early on. I think it smells amazing. It projects well. It lasts for a long time. And it's just a really sophisticated scent.
Yeah, it's more mature. I would say if it's just orange like the one you drink, like Tropicana or something like that, it wouldn't be as sophisticated.
No, and there are some things that have that like straightforward orange, juicy orange, and they're nice too.
Yeah.
But I really kind of like this sort of like overripe orange.
Yeah, it's more mature.
Like a fermented orange and stuff. It just smells sophisticated and smells real world and earthy. Okay. Now, here's one that I really, really like. by Maison Margiela, the replica line. This is not a replica of something. I say this every time when we review one of these fragrances because people look at it and think that it's made like a clone. It's not. These are the original fragrances. They call it replica because the fragrance is supposed to be a sort of a replica of like an image you have in your mind that is evoked by scent. This is called Jazz Club.
Okay.
Now, while to me, this does not smell like a club, it does smell awesome.
Kind of reminds me of Terre too.
A little bit. To me, this smells sophisticated, luxurious, and just altogether beautiful. Can I smell? It just smells like luxury. So it has notes of pink pepper, neroli, rum, and I definitely noticed the rum.
Yes, the rum.
And tobacco.
Rum and tobacco.
With vanilla and vetiver.
Yes, and vanilla.
And styrax, which is a kind of an incensey, sort of a piney smell to it.
I almost thought I was a dinosaur.
Right. To me, it just takes me away to some place dreamy where like life is filled with luxurious and soft things and happiness. And with this one, it comes on strong when you put it on. It has a nice projection. Stays, if you spray it fairly well, like a good 6 or 8 sprays on you, it'll stay and keep on projecting for about 6 to 8 hours and even longer as a close-in skin scent. And really, in my opinion, even though these are not usually easily found at discounters, it's worth the retail price.
Okay.
All right. Now, after moving along to something a little bit less pricey, but no less wonderful, is this gem. Futura La Homme Eau de Parfum.
I already like it.
This is by Armaf.
Look at it too, the way it's shaped.
The futuristic bottle.
Yeah.
And the kind of unusual cap that has different colors on different sides of it. So, Futura La Homme Eau de Parfum. This is a clone. And everyone who's been in the fragrance community for a while, they've probably heard of the sad demise of the Dior 2011 masterpiece, Dior Homme. It's praised for its lipsticky, powdery makeup bag sort of a smell. Now, I'm not sure anybody knew that they really liked that smell before people started going on about it. I do find it sort of a pretty smell, but maybe it's a little bit more of a nostalgic smell. Well, cry as you might, the only way to get it now, to get the original Dior Homme, is either a lucky yard sale find or spend over $300 on eBay and hope you don't get a fake.
Okay.
But you can buy this Armaf Futura La Homme, yes, a clone.
Yeah, it does smell like those makeup bags.
Yeah, for a shockingly low price. It's just
like
absurd.
Lipstick. Yeah, you're
it's
right.
just absurd how good this smells.
Yeah.
And how incredibly affordable the price is. If you've ever smelled the original Dior Homme, then you'll be pleased, maybe even elated, because now for a pretty cheap price, you can have the one that's been discontinued and you can't find anymore.
This was probably the smell like guys wear if they want to smell like they've been kissed and embraced by a lot of pretty women.
Yeah. It just, I think a lot of people, they say that this kind of reminds them of their girlfriend or reminds them of like their mom or something like that. It just has that lipsticky sort of a smell about something feminine. Now, why it is that women like this, I'm not really sure, because it probably reminds them of all the work they have to go through to get ready. But interestingly enough, when I listen to other fragrance reviews and stuff, and when women talk about it, they don't love it as much as men do. So,
I think
men,
that would be a nice topic in the future.
Yeah, they wear this because maybe men wear this because it makes them feel happy, which is kind of really what perfume is all about, right? because you're the one who really gets to smell it. Other people just get to, you know, come in contact with it for a quick.
Smell. I didn't think I would like it.
It is. And I kind of bought this one by accident, not really knowing what it was, but just because it had a good price and I'd seen some reviews on it and didn't remember exactly what it was. But it's a shockingly good blind buy.
Oh, wow.
And I really think that it's a good wardrobe replacement for those of you out there that are crying a lot about the original
I'm
Dior
going to do an
Homme.
individual review of this.
Yeah. Pretty fantastic. It's a great wardrobe replacement. So the notes in this are so exactly on track with the Dior Homme that it's just amazing. The Dior Homme has cacao and patchouli in it, while the Futura La Homme has coffee and cedar. Those are the only things that are different. And on Fragrantica, if you look at the notes that people voted for, almost nobody seems to even notice patchouli or cedar in either of these. And between the coffee and the cacao notes, when I've smelled both of them and compared them, I don't think it really comes out distinctly as one or the other. The coffee is like, oh, that's totally different than the cacao, or the cacao and Dior Homme. It comes out to me smelling just about the same. So really, this is an amazing clone. And if you never got to smell Dior Homme and wanted to, buy this. If you used to love Dior Homme and you can't go on treasure hunts and spend 300 and some bucks on eBay for a potentially original bottle of this, go with this.
You know what the general public will think?
What?
Who cares?
Right, just smells great.
It smells great.
I don't know how our moth keeps pulling off some of these really, really great fragrances for such a super price, but I hope they keep on doing it. Thanks, our moth, really.
Okay, next one.
Now, this one is really an awesome fragrance. Encre Noire à l'Extreme.
Okay,
by Lalique.
Okay.
So, when you really want to spice things up for your date night and the original Encre Noire isn't sexy enough, there's à l'Extreme.
Okay, so this is supposed to be sexy.
I think it is.
Okay.
But let me just say, for most people, you'll either love it or you'll hate it.
Okay, I hope I love it.
Let's see.
I haven't hated a fragrance before, so as long as it doesn't smell like farts.
No.
Well, kind of indifferent for it so far. Just okay.
For me, I just think this one is sexy a la Extreme.
Okay.
It's spicy, peppery. So this one is a 2015 successor to the original Encre Noire that came out in 2006, both by the same perfumer.
I know what's happening to me.
What?
I'm going nose blind.
It could be.
Could be.
Could be. So the original 2006 Encre Noire was by Natalie Lorson, and she did the redesign for the A la Extreme. And in an unusual turn for flankers, the A la Extreme version actually has a lot more and a lot more intense notes than the original. I've noticed that these days, a lot of times the extreme or intense versions have way less notes than the original one. So I guess just a few things come out at you. But this one has more notes and it has much more intense types of notes to it. To me, this one just smells altogether wonderful. It's spicy and earthy and woody and peppery. It has cypress, elemi resin, vetiver, incense, orris root, benzoin, sandalwood, and patchouli. It's a strong, spicy, woody scent. It makes a statement, leaves a scent trail, and stays strong for at least a 6 hour period. You know what I like about it? What?
What I like about it's strong but not off-putting.
Yeah.
You know, so just the right amount of strength.
Right. 4 to 6 hours, it really performs and it puts out a nice kind of a scent bubble about arm's length or so. But I've noticed that this stays on clothes and even on skin for sometimes up to 12 hours or more. So yeah, be careful with this one too. If you're in a really enclosed space or something like that in an airplane and it's not like a date night or something, this one may be one you want to try out in a little bit more open spaces first and see how it performs for you.
Okay.
Okay,